Hi, this is Connie Haxby, licensed clinical social worker, and today I wanted to talk about boundaries. Boundaries is a word that I feel like we throw out often, and sometimes people don't know exactly what we're talking about when we talk about setting a healthy boundary or someone who doesn't have healthy boundaries. And so there are three different types of boundaries that we want to look at. The first is called a rigid boundary. And these are folks who tend to be very structured. They like their routine. They're kind of set in their ways. They tend to have trouble compromising with other people. These are sort of that, it's either my way or the highway kind of folks. And that is someone who could be kind of difficult to maintain a friendship or a relationship with, because you're finding that you're always the one who tends to kind of bend over backwards. You eat where they want to eat. You're on their timeline. If they play basketball every Tuesday night with their friends, then that's what they're doing. Even if there's this concert that you really want to go to, they have basketball and nothing's going to change that. So that can be a really difficult person to have a friendship or a relationship with. In saying that, it does come from a place of emotion, though. Rigid people, it can sometimes come from this fear of being surprised. Maybe they had anxiety growing up, or maybe they feel like this is a safe place. So if I do the same thing, if I make the decision, if it's my way or no way, then I'm not caught off guard, and then I'm not going to have any anxiety come into my life because I always know what's coming next. So it can come from a place of that. So it's not necessarily that these are good or bad things, they just are. The next type of boundary is the person who has a poor boundary. And these are the type of people that when we talk about someone who's giving away too much too soon, whether it's giving too much of themselves and their time, or maybe they're giving away too much of their own personal story. So someone that you might meet and early on they're telling you their life story and all of their trauma and things that maybe you really shouldn't know about that person very early on. This person is sharing with you this information. You hear that phrase TMI, too much information. This is the person that we think about when we think about TMI, is this person who has this poor boundary because they just kind of let it all hang out. These people sometimes can be taken advantage of because of that. They also are people who sometimes take advantage of other people, either through manipulation or guilt. This could come from, having poor self-worth. So someone who's wanting to connect with other people on a level that's deeper than what it probably should be, given either the type of relationship that it is or the length of time that they've been in this relationship. But they're trying to connect and they're trying to get some kind of self-worth out of it. So, we need to also look at that when we have people in our life who have poor or unhealthy boundaries. The next kind of boundary, and the one that we want to strive for, is called a healthy boundary. And these are folks who tend to be assertive, who can compromise, but they don't compromise to the point that it puts them in a bad position. For instance, let's say, you're my sister and you needed me to watch your kid, but I need to be at work. I'm not going to put my job in jeopardy or my finances in jeopardy to take off to watch your child if it's going to be something that's going to be detrimental to me. Again, sometimes I use these extreme examples, but we need to look at, is this something that I can do for you, when you call in a favor, but is it going to be something that's going to take away from me? And again, it's not a black and white thing where every single time someone calls in a favor and we're put out, we're going to say, no, I can't do that. But if it's something, again, that is a pattern that I tend to put people ahead of myself again and again and again, I need to look at my own boundaries and make sure that I'm setting a boundary for myself and for the other person that says, you know what, my time is just as valuable as yours. The things that I have going on in my life are just as meaningful and just as valuable as what you have going on. And so I need to say no to this. Setting a healthy boundary also means saying no without guilt. And again, that's where the assertiveness comes in, right? So saying no without guilt, knowing that we've walked away from the situation, saying, you know, that's just not going to work for me. You know, maybe I can do it this day, or maybe we need to look at doing it that way. And then just knowing that we walked away from the situation, you know, with a healthy boundary. We also need to look at the boundaries in terms of emotional boundary as well as physical boundary. So physical boundary is pretty, you know, self-explanatory. You know, if I've got my bubble that I like to, you know, have my space and someone is, you know, touching me in such a way, you know, someone who maybe I don't know very well or on that intimate of a level, you know, comes up and starts rubbing my shoulders, and maybe that makes me feel uncomfortable. So I need to be able to go, you know what, that's, you know, that's not my favorite thing. That's something that I'm kind of not comfortable with. And so I'd really like you to stop, you know, and just not putting ourselves in a situation where we're not feeling like we're able to say no to a physical boundary when it's something that makes us feel uncomfortable. The other one is the emotional boundary, and that's kind of the examples that I gave before. So the emotional boundary, you know, not allowing yourself to be put in a guilt trip or being manipulated, you know, being able to be assertive and not passive aggressive, being able to have that open communication and to say this is what I want and this is what I need, being able to still compromise, but not at that level, like I said, where it's taking away from you. So try to have those healthy boundaries with others. There's plenty of good books and literature out there that you can find online about how to set healthy boundaries. So I really encourage you to go out there and look for those. So try that and see how you feel with that. 9 times out of 10, you're going to feel better about yourself. Again, we're always talking about communication and confidence and assertiveness, and all of these things really go together. You know, you can't have assertiveness without healthy boundaries. You can't have confidence without assertiveness. You know, all of these good things that we're striving for that I've talked about in other videos, they really do go together. So healthy boundaries, assertiveness, good communication, those are the things that you have been watching so far. So try to put those all together and see how you feel after you do that. Until next week, have a great day.